Hey there, welcome to Owning the Goal, a podcast that helps you take charge of your sales success. I'm the creator and your host, Brian McFarland. I look forward to sharing insights and inspiration from my 40 plus year sales career as a seller and sales leader. Like you, I'm more than just a salesperson, which is why this isn't just a podcast about sales. I'll talk about my other passions too, like books, sports, music, and mental health and fitness, and how they all relate to hitting our goals. Because success in sales is success in life. So, it's Friday, April 25th, everyone, and I'm so happy that you're listening, so thank you for sharing your time with me. And I was thinking about doing this episode because the idea of Owning the Goal is going to be we do one interview and launch that usually on Tuesdays, and then I do one solo episode and launch that later in the week so we can get you 2 pieces of content a week because that's what we've heard you like. So I was coming up with the idea last night for today's episode and talking to my podcast coach, the incredible Rory Burkett. Shout out to Rory. And came up with the idea actually that he had given me, and it was going to be called What I Learned. So today's episode is What I Learned, and I'll do several of these, but today's What I've Learned is going to be specifically what I learned from playing a soccer match and preparing for it this very morning, which is why if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my Shocker jersey and actually says Love Unites. And it's got some crazy colors on it, as you can see. Probably very distracting. But in soccer and as in cycling, the sky's the limit, and the more colorful the better, if you will. And if you're not watching on YouTube, that I've just given you the visual. And right behind me is one of my favorite pair of gloves. And this kind of actually shows that these are All Sports. Shout out to All Sport. And these are great gloves. They're very old. And for the people who can see them, they can see there's practically a hole in that one. These have gotten a lot of use. And I have a collection of gloves in the other room. And the only reason I talk about the gloves is because they are the tools in which a goaltender, I am a goaltender in soccer, embarks upon their journey of playing goaltender each and every of their soccer matches. And I usually color coordinate them to my colors. In fact, I haven't color coordinated this orange today, but that's the setup there. So get to the point, Brian. Okay, because we want this to be a short episode. So today's episode is going to be 5 things I learned from soccer goaltending this very morning that apply to achieving our goals in life. And that's it. So let's kick it off. Well, the context is I play soccer in New York City usually every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday mornings. Usually kick off at 6 a.m., play till about 8, and then if it's a weekday, come home, shower, then go to work. If it's a weekend, come home, then go to the gym. And so this was Friday morning. So I'll start you with 5 things I've learned. So number 1, organization. Now these are going to seem very basic, but I'm going to talk to you about how they apply. So how I organize and why it's important in life is the night before the match, we get the colors of the teams and we get the teams that we actually have. So if you think about it in sales terms or meeting terms or going to a class terms or taking a test terms, it's setting everything up prior to the day in which you're going to do something. Sounds pretty basic, but I lay out all the clothes that I'm going to wear. I select with great enthusiasm the colors that I'm going to have. I often consult with my life partner Marisa and tell her pick any color other than the two colors that both teams are, because the goalies always have to be a different color, and also make sure you're not the same color as the ref. And then I have her pick a color, or last night I picked my own color, and today was bright yellow. And I set up my outfit. I'd selected the gloves I was going to use. I put the stickum on them, and I got everything ready, and then I watched as I went to bed, not early enough, but I tried to get a good night's sleep. A little goaltending, professional goaltending, some tips and strategies and whatnot right before I went to bed, so that I was really enthusiastic and prepared to know that when I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning, everything was ready to go. So I was able to wake up, do a routine, play with my cat Snowflake for a little bit, give her her love in the morning, then move on, put on all my gear. Takes about 15 minutes. I listen to the Jay Shetty, who's on Calm, to get my mind clear and get everything ready to go. Okay? It's pretty serving or self-explanatory why those are smart things to do. But I know so many people who don't, and then they're scrambling around and they can't find the pen they need for a test, or they can't find their phone, or they can't find their shin guard. Whatever it is in your life, it doesn't have to be about soccer. But if you take care of it the night before, you won't have those problems. You'll most likely have a better sleep, and then you'll wake up more prepared, and you'll most likely be to your event early. So that leads me to point 2. Slow down to speed up and clear your mind about the task that is at hand. When I wake up and I know I've got a soccer match ahead of me, first off, I'm incredibly grateful for the fact that at the ripe young age of 57, I'm able to get out of bed every morning, period, and open my eyes and be in a home that's safe and generally filled with love, and that I'm able to be in physical shape to go play this sport that I so love. So first, I'm grateful. So I take a minute to slow down and just think about that for a second. And then, as I said, go through my routine, usually take a shower, do some push-ups, get everything going. But I'm able to move slowly because everything's been laid out so that I can accelerate to the task at hand. Well, that was all well and good, with the exception of the fact that for some reason, in the midst of I'm probably about 15 minutes away from departing, I allowed negative thoughts to come into my head. And we all have negative thoughts that come in, and we decide whether we're going to just, as the new book by Mel Robbins that my life partner Marisa has engaged me with or shared with me, called Let Them. And to any of our listeners, I would very, very, very strongly encourage and support you getting that. It's on Audible. It's a whole psychological process of not getting all wrapped up in what I'm about to say, not just in soccer, but in life. So you're not going to be able to control people. In brief, people are going to do what they're going to do. It's how you react to what they're doing that determines your success in life. So the let them theory I should have applied this morning. So where I'm going with this is I'm always the first to the soccer field. And that's good. However, I wind up having then to move all the goals, sometimes by myself, but usually with maybe one or two other people. And they're big, and it takes time and a whole bunch. Now, I've gotten a little upset by this because I always feel like here I am getting to the field early. I don't get my warm-up in. I'm moving goals around while other people are getting there later, and they're warming up and doing their thing while I'm spending time setting up the field. That used to be just fine. And for some reason, I let the process, start to bother me. For no reason. And it's not good, because check this out. So here's what happened. Instead of focusing on getting to the field early and being ready to play, and if I had to move goals, didn't matter, I got myself in such a tizzy in my very apartment, thinking about this and how unfair it was, and all this that I can't even explain, that guess what? I left my apartment. I started thinking about when I got there, how my warm-up was going to go, how I wasn't going to worry about moving the goals or anything like that, and feeling like, oh yeah, I'll show them and whatnot. And you can, if you're listening or watching, you can see like the craziness, like, what are you doing? Like, you're so blessed to be able to do this and have a community to play and all this other stuff. But that just kind of shows you sometimes how and I can only speak for myself, but maybe others feel it too. You just get too wrapped up in something and it doesn't serve you well. It really doesn't serve you well. So guess what? I pedal to the field. I get to the field. There's actually a couple other people there. And it was at that moment I realized I had forgotten my entire backpack that had my gloves, the ball, medical equipment for other people, and some essential things that I need to play soccer. That backpack was in my apartment. And I laughed, knowing I was going to make this episode, and I said, it is fortuitous that this happened this morning, because now, who's the joke on? The joke's on me. I got to ride home. Thankfully, it's only about 6 or 7 minutes. Go up the elevator, grab my bag. I'm going to pass a whole bunch of other players who are coming and have to quickly explain why. And then be even more stressed now, come back to the field, have no time to warm up, haven't participated in moving the goals. And what did me being upset about something I can't control, what did that just do for me? It completely backfired. So I tried to slow down, to speed up and clear my mind. I didn't do a very good job on it, and it wound up actually really hurting the exact thing that I didn't want it to do. So try not to do that. I'm going to try not to do that in the future and just say, wow, first off, put the bag in a place where you should have put it in front of the door so you couldn't forget it. But it was more about the mental mindset of getting upset about things you can't control. And from the words of Mel Robbins, let them. And then let me just show up to the field and do what I need to do. Okay, that's 2. Number 3, community building. Well, for soccer, what I do and how this applies in life, I'll get to each one. I make sure that I go to each of my teammates. I'm the only person who does this in the morning when we gather in a circle prior to the match. And I go to each teammate and I just give them a little fist bump and say their name to remind myself of their name. But if they're new, it also gives me a chance to remember their name, because I'm going to generally have to be calling out directions from the back of the pitch to direct people in specific situations. But I go around the whole circle and just say that to everyone. Because A, I want to, because love unites. But B, I'm team building as a leader, showcasing my care for them, and also self-preservation, that I've found the nicer, of course, in life you are to people, the nicer they'll be to you. So inevitably, I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to let in a goal. I'm going to do something silly. I'm going to make a bad decision. And if I've went around and built some camaraderie before the game, before the match, that hopefully that will be minimized a little bit, and it's going to be more productive for the team. I also make sure that I say hello to the referees, because A, they're donating their time, But B, I also know that if it's a close call and I was the person who was really nice to them before or after the game, maybe they'll if it's a tie, maybe they'll let the tie go to me because I just happen to be, in that morning, I try and always be, just a good human being and very, very grateful and appreciative of all the gifts that I'm given. So how does that apply to life? That's the more important thing. It's networking, right? To everyone and anyone, because I wrote this, that's why I'm looking at my notes, as we never know in our life who is going to be able for us to help or to help us. It could be, I might say hi to my opponents. I usually say hi to the top goal scorer on the other team and make a joke and say, oh, today you're not allowed to score on me. Did you get the memo? Ha ha. Maybe psychologically that stopped a few people from scoring on me because they take pity on me, or they don't kick a ball and smash me in the face when they might have done that because I'm on kind of a concussion alert now. But as it relates to life, it's just being a great person to everyone you possibly can, because you're never sure. It's a long, 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 wonderful life, which I hope it is for you. You're never sure when those connections in that moment when you made somebody feel extra special just by being a good person and greeting them with a smile, greeting them with a handshake, saying hello, and making their day a little bit brighter. Build that community. Thinking ahead and just going for it. Point number 4, we're in the home stretch. Never do things halfway. Well, how this applied in soccer today, multiple times, is first off, thinking ahead. I had to think of where I was on the field in relation to where the ball was, so that if a ball came towards me, if I was too far away from it and couldn't get to it in a period of time, that puts me in a worse position, potentially to stop a goal. If I'm closer to that ball, it puts me in a better position to be in control of that situation. If I'm too far up and too far away from the goal, someone has happened often, can kick it over my head. So, where am I going with this? Thinking ahead, making all those decisions in those microseconds or seconds about being aware of everything that's going on around you, taking all that information into this incredible computer in each of our brains, and understanding what is the best place and position to put yourself in, whether it be on a soccer field, whether it be driving in a car, whether it be going on a sales call, an interview, sitting in class, just analyzing every detail you possibly can, taking that information in and saying, based on what I'm seeing in front of me, what is the best place I can put myself in that is going to yield the most positive outcome. And what I noticed was a few times I was too far up and someone tried to kick it over my head. Thankfully, I got it, but that sometimes I've not. Several times I was too far back, and I stuttered in my steps, and I didn't do what I just said. Go for it. If you're going to go for something, a job, a comedy skit, a piece of music, learning an instrument, getting an internship with a great mentor at school, don't do it any other way than full bore and fully passionate, and give yourself the best chance to have the most positive outcome you could possibly have. What happened to me is there was a few times I thought about it for too long and said, should I go for that ball? And guess what? By that point, it was too late. And I went out and someone dribbled around me and they scored. That was my fault, because I should have just went, and I was in the right position. And if I had just went for it, which I knew deep in my gut, that's what I should do, then I would have been in control of the situation and done it. And so just owning that, instead of being late to the ball, late to the class, late to the job, late to the sales call, get there. have our myopic focus on doing that, owning that. And if you do it wrong, that's okay. But understand what you did wrong, learn from it, acknowledge that it was your fault, and most importantly, aim to not do that again, right? Fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, or fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, whatever that saying is. So pursue 100%, and then if it doesn't work out, ask, what could you have done differently to achieve the outcome you wanted to? Last, number 5, and thank you for staying with us on here. We'll bring this in just over 20. Cherish the people. Be grateful for the community. Be a true gentleman or lady on or off the field, no matter what. Compliment those who deserve the compliments. Apologize to those who deserve your apology. I ran into someone and knocked them over today, and I needed to and did apologize to them because I could have really hurt them. Because you never know, the very next day you might be their teammate, not playing against them. You might be at their company as opposed to being their competitor. You're just never sure. So I never want to leave a bad taste in people's mouth of their interactions with myself. It's a long life. Play as hard as you can, but make sure after the game or the sale or whatnot is over, be graceful, be grateful, and know when you have that chance again, it may be a different situation, and you always want that person to look fondly upon you. So as we close this up, this episode of Own Your Goals is really think towards what is the best outcome that you're looking for. Number 1, organize. 2, slow down to speed up. 3, think of your community. 4, just go for it, 100%, nothing withheld. And then cherish and be grateful for all the people that were involved in that occasion to achieve that best outcome. And never say you failed. Acknowledge if you made mistakes, just learn from them, and then get out and practice and fix those things that you wanted to do. The old saying, of computers, right? Garbage in, garbage out. If you have the same inputs, you're going to have the same outputs. So anyway, that is today's solo episode of Owning the Goal with myself, Brian McFarland. I thank you so much for listening. I hope you got even one little tidbit of humor, of insight, of advice, or maybe you felt some of these own things in your own life, or maybe you just think I'm nuts and you're not going to tune in anymore. They're all okay. And you can always message on our Spotify channel, on the YouTube channel, on the Apple Connect channel, and just tell us what you thought of the episode. I've got some great guests I'm interviewing this weekend. Look for those coming out next week. And till then, this has been your friend and host, Brian McFarland, with Owning the Goal. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.